the emotional pull feels genuine and affirming. The Amish environment strips away digital distraction, social performance, and superficial dating norms. Emotional connection arrives faster, deeper, and more intensely than expected. On the Amish side, the emotional risk is far greater. Attraction is not simply personal, it carries spiritual and communal consequences. Even unspoken feelings can raise questions about discipline, intention, and long-term alignment with Amish life. The episode carefully avoids depicting either party as manipulative. Instead, both appear overwhelmed by unplanned feelings they struggle to understand within the other's framework. The jealous observers, why they matter more than it seems. The most underestimated figures in participants, both Amish and English, serve as the episode's emotional barometers. Their discomfort reveals something crucial. The experiment only works if everyone feels equally protected by its boundaries. For English participants, jealousy stems from perceived favoritism and emotional imbalance. They question whether the experiment's purpose is shifting from shared experience to private connection. For Amish participants, jealousy manifests as concern, not envy, but fear that spiritual integrity is being tested without sufficient safeguards. This distinction is important. The episode shows that jealousy does not always arise from desire. Sometimes it arises from unequal risk exposure. The Bishop revisited, authority without absolute control. A leader trapped by good intentions. The Bishop's role becomes significantly more complex in Episode 6. Earlier episodes framed him as a calm overseer, confident in structure and principle. Here, that confidence begins to fracture, not publicly, but visibly. He is pulled in three directions. 1. Protecting the Amish community's moral standing. 2. Honoring the experiment's promise of openness. 3. Avoiding humiliation or failure on a public stage. The disappointing update regarding the mission's status hits him hardest because it confirms his deepest fear, that good intentions may not be enough to prevent harm. Notably, the Bishop does not react with anger or punishment. His restraint is deliberate and risky. The episode subtly raises the question of whether patience, once a strength, is becoming a liability. Why his authority feels fragile now? Authority in Amish culture is not enforced through dominance, it is sustained through trust and moral clarity. Episode 6 introduces ambiguity, and ambiguity weakens authority. The Bishop is no longer simply guiding an experiment, he is defending its legitimacy. That shift places him in unfamiliar territory, where leadership requires not just wisdom, but crisis management. Cultural collision point: privacy versus accountability. One of the most intellectually rich aspects of Episode 6 is its exploration of privacy, not as a right or restriction, but as a cultural construct. For the English participants, privacy is assumed. Emotional actions can coexist without malicious intent. The episode's structural brilliance: why nothing explodes. Unlike typical reality television, Suddenly Amish avoids explosive confrontation in Episode 6, and that choice is crucial. No shouting matches occur. No ultimatums are issued. No participant storms out. This restraint mirrors Amish conflict resolution, where escalation is avoided whenever possible. Ironically, it also heightens tension. The absence of release makes every silence heavier and look more charged. The result is an episode that feels unsettling rather than dramatic, appropriate for a story about moral unease rather than scandal. The experiment at risk. What's actually in jeopardy? By the end of Episode 6, the threat is not that someone will break a rule. The threat lies in the potential fundamental misinterpretation of the experiment's purpose. Originally, the experiment promised cultural understanding and detailed look at everything that transpired in this remarkable episode, breaking down each storyline, each confrontation, each departure, and each revelation that made Wickedness Loves Company such a compelling and emotionally resonant hour of reality television. Setting the stage, understanding the world of Suddenly Amish. Before diving into the specific events of Tuesday's episode, it is worth taking a moment to recap what Suddenly Amish is all about for anyone who may be coming to this recap without full context. The show, which airs on TLC, follows a group of English, that is to say, non-Amish individuals who voluntarily agree to live according to Amish customs, traditions, and values for an extended period of time. They do so under the guidance and supervision of actual Amish community members, including a respected bishop whose role it is to slip away together and go to a nearby motel. The details of exactly how this came about and precisely what transpired once they arrived would be debated hotly among the other participants throughout the episode, but the basic facts were not in dispute. 2 participants in an Amish living experiment, 2 people who had committed, at least for the duration of the experiment, to living according to Amish values and standards, had left the community together and checked into a motel room. From the perspective of the Amish, such an incident was an extraordinarily serious breach. Amish tradition holds that unmarried men and women should not be alone together in intimate settings, and the idea of an unmarried couple spending time together in a motel room, regardless, Amish participants in the house may have had varying views on whether or not what Kendra and Matt did was actually wrong, but virtually everyone understood that it was a violation of the spirit of the experiment they were all participating in. James makes his move, the confrontation at the motel. James, consumed by jealousy and likely driven by his unfulfilled feelings for Kendra, learned through rumors that the two had left together. Knowing there was only one motel anywhere nearby, he made the decision to go there himself. This was a decision that, as several of his fellow participants would later point out, was itself problematic in its own right, even if his anger and hurt feelings were entirely understandable on a human level. James arrived at the motel and went directly to the room where Kendra and Matt were staying. He knocked on the door, or, more accurately given the heated circumstances, he banged on it. It was the kind of knock that left no doubt about the emotional state of the person doing the knocking. He was not there for a casual conversation. He was there because he was angry, jealous, hurt, and determined to confront the situation head-on. Kendra and Matt, for their part, did not open the door. They stayed inside the room while James continued to demand that they come out and face him. From their perspective, they were going to explain themselves on their terms, in their time, and not because James had shown up at a motel in the middle of the night to bang on their door. They would later describe themselves as feeling misinterpreted, a choice of words that struck many observers as a rather significant understatement given the circumstances. When they eventually did emerge from the situation and had to address what had happened, both Kendra and Matt maintained that nothing inappropriate had actually occurred between them in that motel room. They insisted that they had simply talked, that they had gone somewhere private to have a conversation that they felt they needed to have, and that they had been planning to sleep. They were emphatic that nothing of a physical or sexual nature had happened. The problem with this explanation, as virtually everyone in the house and almost certainly the vast majority of the viewing audience could immediately see, was that it strained credibility almost to the breaking point. Not because anyone necessarily had direct evidence that something inappropriate to being caught, confronted, and forced to answer for his and Kendra's actions was consistent with a pattern that had developed over the course of the show. He decided to quit. This was, as the episode made clear, the second time Matt had made this decision. He had apparently threatened or attempted to leave the experiment before, and that prior episode of quitting and presumably returning gave this second departure a particularly significant weight. It suggested that when things became difficult or uncomfortable for Matt, his default response was to remove himself from the situation rather than to stay and work through it. The way he went about leaving this time was particularly striking. He returned to the house, went to his room, and began packing his things. He did this without talking to anyone. He did not seek out and the process of sitting with that secret while genuinely engaging with a community that holds traditional and conservative views on sexuality and gender had been an emotionally complex experience for him. It is important to note that the Amish adhere to traditional Christian views on sexuality, which do not endorse same-sex attraction or behavior. This is not a secret or a point of controversy. It is simply the reality of the community's theological and cultural framework. Judah knew this. And part of what made his situation so poignant was the genuine tension he was navigating between a community and a way of life that he had come to genuinely love and respect. An remarkable episode of television because it managed to be simultaneously deeply entertaining and genuinely thought-provoking. The dramatic events of the hour, the motel confrontation, the departures, the accusations, the confessions, provided the kind of immediate, visceral engagement that keeps audiences watching. But beneath those surface events were real human questions about temptation, honesty, identity, community, and what it means to genuinely commit to a set of values that may not come naturally to you. The episode also did something that the best reality television always does. It revealed character. We learned something real and true about every. James later heard that the two of them went to a motel together. He knew there was just one nearby motel. He went there. He banged on the duo's room door. They never opened it. They said they felt misinterpreted once they had gotten caught. Both Kendra and Matt claimed nothing happened. They said they talked and were going to sleep. They forget that they couldn't touch, much less sleep, in the same room. There wasn't a single person who believed nothing happened. Or that was the initial intent when they went to a motel together. They could have sat out on the porch to talk without touching. There was no need for touch in a conversation. They never opened the door to James because Matt thought their friends in the experiment had betrayed them. Matt then decided to quit the show again. It was the second time for him. He went back to the house and he packed without talking to anyone. He threw a little hissy fit on his way out. He also left Kendra in a state of uncertainty. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know if she should fight to stay or leave with Matt because it's not like he was inviting her along. He left without her. She initially joined the show as a means of getting away from the fakery. She aspired to uncover the genuine Amish reality. The reality of James going after them. Emma informed him that his actions were inappropriate. Not after. Alan also thought James overreacted by going to the motel. He said drama wasn't the Amish way. Alan believed the best way to resolve the tension was to keep everyone working. He put them to work with the animals. This approach meant that's when Judah's mother showed up. The end.